Hey y'all, Honeysuckle Trish here. I haven't done a devotion in a while, so I thought I'd hop on and do one. And I've really been wrestling with which one to do and praying. So I just pray for his word to come forth and for you to hear him and what he has to say. Our pastor Wednesday night gave us a little teaser. He said if you want to get ready for Sunday, it's on Matthew in 13. We're going through and it's about feeding the 5,000. So I'm going to read that to you and then talk to a little tidbit of what the Lord has spoken to me. So Matthew 14:13 through 21. When Jesus heard what had happened, he withdrew by boat privately to a solitary place. Hearing of this, the crowds followed him on foot from the towns. When Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them and healed their sick. As evening approached, the disciples came to him and said, "This is a remote place, and it's already getting late. Send the crowds away so that they can go to the villages and buy themselves some food." Jesus replied, "They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat." "We only have 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish," they answered. "Bring them here to me," he said. And he directed the people to sit down on the grass. Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks and broke the loaves. Then he gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the people. They all ate and were satisfied, and the disciples picked up 12 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. The number of those who ate was about 5,000 men, besides women and children. Okay, so here's the tidbit my husband and I, after we read this, that we talked about. In the beginning it says, when Jesus heard what had happened, he withdrew. So the first part of chapter 13 actually has to do with his cousin, John the Baptist, who had just been beheaded. So, for standing up for what was right. So, we hear that when Jesus heard what had happened, so when he heard that his cousin had been beheaded, so he was in the midst of his grief. In the midst of grief, and he drew away privately, and these large crowds came to him, needing from him. So in the midst of his grief, he gave to others what they needed, and he healed their sick. What an example for us, because we grieve all the time. There's several different kinds of grief and different reasons to grieve, and we do that. My hair is driving me crazy. Sorry to get distracted. Okay, we grieve for all kinds of reasons, and in the midst of our grief, we still need to show up for others. Jesus is that example. We're not going to do it perfectly this side of heaven for sure. But he did. He stopped. He had compassion. In the midst of his grief, it says, hearing of this, the crowds followed him. When Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them and healed their sick. And then it was time to eat. And that's the part we all know and we all talk about, right? There were tons of leftovers. He did a miracle of miracles. He took 5 loaves and 2 fish and turned it into 12 basketfuls. And that's what can happen when you set yourself aside and your grief and you have compassion for others and you show up for them. So that's a little bit the Lord spoke to me. I'm excited to see what our pastor is going to teach us this Sunday and to talk with y'all again. I love y'all. I hope you have a fantastic day. And remember, this is the day the Lord has made. So let us rejoice and be glad in it. Love y'all. Bye.